All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Just Between You and Me. I'm Michael.
And I'm Michele. And today we're talking about apologies and connection. And this is going to be a kind of a different video because in apologies and connection, Michael and I have a process here that we're not actually aligned in what apologies and connection means. So we get to do this real time on video for you guys. Where can we find some coherence in this connection? So,
All right.
So do you want to start or do you want me to start?
Go ahead. Let's hear what yours is.
So when I think about apologies and connection, I think about where we've unintentionally caused trigger or pain for someone else and how we have responsibility in that. And so for me, apologies and connection are about taking ownership and responsibility without taking away the other person's responsibility or ownership. It's simply saying, hey, I apologize for my contribution here. I apologize for what I co-created with you. And for me, that's really important in connection and in communication with how I want to connect with others and where I feel the desire for compassion and interaction. And that's my view of apologies and connection.
Wow. Yeah, I really love the succinctness with which you articulated that. And I like that perspective. I will say that. I like that perspective. I resonate with it even. And where I get hung up in this process with me, kind of independent of what you just said, is that I experience I'm sorry and I apologize as coming from a wounded place, as coming from a place of giving one's power away, and as coming from a place of just enabling the cycle. It's like if I just say I'm sorry about the thing, it's like giving away responsibility for the thing. Instead of like I take responsibility for how I created this and how can you take responsibility for how you co-created this? It's just like, I think it's how I was taught it as a kid. It's like, you hurt someone, you say, I'm sorry, you move on. It's like, what did that do? Show that you care, maybe, but like, I experienced it as this like enabling this cycle that didn't really solve the underlying issue that resulted in the need for an I'm sorry in the first place. So that's kind of my beef with I'm sorry. And I totally resonate with what you're saying. Like, hey, I take responsibility for how I co-created this experience with you. And I apologize or I'm sorry for my role in that. But even saying I'm sorry, I relate with sorrow. And I don't want to make myself in sorrow. I don't want to step out of love for myself and step into sorrow for what I've done that I'm taking responsibility for, unless I truly am feeling sorrow. And I think I'm sorry we say as a very shallow, I'm playing with my button as I'm thinking. I experience I'm sorry as a very shallow thing. If I were to say I'm experiencing sorrow inside of myself for how I co-created what I'm responsible for co-creating with you, I experience that as more conscious language. I experience I'm sorry as like people hear that and it's just an overused word with an undervalued meaning. Yeah, and that's really why I resist saying, I feel resistance to saying I'm sorry. I can experience sorrow. It's a valid emotion, perhaps, or there are other valid emotions that equate to my experience of sorrow.
Yeah. I really do understand the concept here of it being an empty thing because of how you were raised or how you were taught on it, and really understanding that the idea of saying just I'm sorry was basically like that's just what you say. That's just what you say, and there's really no legit action behind it, and there's no real responsibility taking because it's just like something you say to just sort of brush it under the rug. And I see that that's been your experience of it, and that's why it doesn't resonate. The word I'm sorry or I apologize doesn't resonate with you because it doesn't hold the same weight because of how you experienced it as a kid.
And I want something more deep and meaningful to replace that, because it's not that I'm sorry doesn't resonate and so I don't care about you and I don't care about what you're experiencing of me, even if it is a mirror and a reflection and ultimately you're seeing something in me that's not there. If it's a mirror but not a, like, how do I say this? Sometimes I'm sorry is asked for when it's someone experiencing something in someone else that's not actually in that someone else. So if I need to be sorry because you experienced me a certain way that's actually not how I am, it's how you experienced me, and it's due to your own filters and stories, that's different from you experienced me a certain way and it is in me, actually. Mm-hmm. And they're still like having compassion for that person for experiencing me a certain way that's not in me. And the difference isn't always clear right away. In fact, it's almost never clear right away.
Yeah.
So just being compassionate anyway.
Yeah, and I feel like that gets very sticky because for me, there is a co-creation regardless of whether or not that thing is in you.
Sure.
There probably is a nugget of truth there, and that's why I hesitate to say, well, it's only over there, because it may not be. And so I co-created that, even if my co-creation was simply just existing as I am, and they exist as they am. There's still a co-creation there. So for me, I don't have that same feeling.
Right. So what I'm hearing is that just take responsibility for I attracted this co-creation, even if I don't experience that thing as in me.
Right.
And find what the nugget of truth is there.
Right. And I think that there is, there is responsibility taking. For me, taking that responsibility in the I'm sorry and the apology is not about taking away anyone's power or making it me out to be the villain in their story, but it is this idea that like there's deep compassion for that person and what they're experiencing. And the space that I'm stepping into to co-create it with them.
Right.
Regardless of what my true intention is, they experience something very real for them.
Sure.
And I am not willing to tell them that they didn't experience it just because I don't feel like it was the way I came across.
Sure. So I think for me, it's like, how do I communicate that compassion without an empty I'm sorry? How do I communicate that compassion and let them know their experience is valid, and even if it's true for me that I don't experience that within myself, whether it's there or not. And that could be and maintaining openness at the same time.
Yeah.
That it could be in me or not, and I just may not see it right now. So there's a lot here.
Yeah.
I think it's about time to wrap this one up.
Yeah, I don't feel like we got to a solid conclusion on anything, but I really enjoyed this conversation and the processing that we did real time here. And just to kind of give people a taste of the real
processing we do.
Here, yeah.
And that's reality in connections, is that sometimes processes don't always have these warm and fuzzy conclusions. And we can make that sticky icky, or we can embrace that this is an ongoing evolution. And you just exchange ideas and I receive them, and I exchanged ideas and you receive them. You saw me, I saw you, and we impacted each other. And that doesn't mean we have a solid like coherence on I'm sorry. I think we established greater coherence on apologies and being sorry and really being in compassion is how I ultimately experience it. And there's more to go.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah. It's okay. Yeah. So I think that's going to wrap us up right now for this video on apologies and connection. And if you enjoyed this type of processing, do look for our Patreon site coming soon, where we're going to do much more deep dives on processing like this and other connection processing. And leave a comment in the comment section down below about how you experience apologies and connection. Yeah, and if you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Please share this with your friends. We'd love to see more people on this channel. And yeah, if you want to contact us, there's social medias and email down in the description section down below. We're gonna get that one day. Yeah. I swear. The flow of the outro. We're gonna get it. We're gonna get it. So thank you all very much for joining us today on Just Between You and Me. I'm Michael. And I'm Michelle. And we'll see you next time. Mwah.